Good morning and welcome to my final morning tarot. This is going to be the last in the morning tarot series because today I'll be finishing up the major arcana. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody, one who stayed subscribed to me throughout this huge kind of overload of tarot videos. I just really wanted to do this series and I've loved doing it. It's been a bit tough sometimes because it's been like every day pretty much, or at least 5 days a week, and I've been doing it for 5 weeks now. So it's been a lot of videos, a lot of uploads. So I know it's a lot in your inboxes and things. And thank you to Gypsy Chick specifically because she's done a lot of video responses, and everyone who's commented on my videos and enjoyed watching these. I hope you've got as much out of them as I have, and please in the future feel free to leave comments and do video responses to these videos. I'm going to move on and do something else I think for a little while. I'm thinking about doing vlogs. Like December vlogs, because I've kind of really enjoyed having a month where I've had like a focus for my channel, and I really enjoyed focusing on doing this tarot series. I'm like, oh, I think I might, kind of flavour my months for a while, but don't worry, I'm not going to do vlogs every single day. I'm going to give everyone kind of a break from that. So yeah, this is the last one. I will be doing more tarot videos like in the future coming up, and take a break from them for a while, but it's given me so many ideas for things that I want to do. So final day. All right, enough rambling, let's get on. So there are 4 cards today, the final 4 cards: the moon, the sun, judgment and the world. And we will set off with the moon. Okay, so as I've mentioned before, I often have little kind of taglines in my head. Oh, it's focusing really well today, for the different cards. And when I look at this card, one of the sort of little taglines that comes to me is, there's no use howling at the moon. The moon is a card that very much talks about sort of mystical things and the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, the collective unconscious, and things that go on sort of behind the scenes in our own lives and in our own heads. And it's a real card of looking within and moving within. I've mentioned before that when you see pillars in cards, and you're doing several of the cards, that's one of the things maybe I'll talk about in the future, is sort of recurring symbolism in cards. The pillars tend to represent a change of state. So they represent sort of one side of the pillar to the other, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, sort of the future and the past, and one state of awareness and another state of awareness. We saw a little sort of sample of this sort of idea, and I looked at the High Priestess, and I think I mentioned even then that we'd kind of look at similar ideas in the moon. And looking at these cards, you can see a lot of similarity in the colours, the pillars in both cards, the moon symbolism and everything. And the High Priestess is kind of an echo of the moon energies, because if you remember, the High Priestess is the keeper of knowledge, that kind of divine feminine sort of wisdom, that sort of mystery and secrets and intuition and the inner self. And the moon card is very much talking about the inner self. So because the 2 pillars are so prominent and they're quite far forwards, we're almost looking at everything in the foreground of the picture is sort of like the subconscious mind. It's really deep, it's going right within yourself. You've got some 2 dogs here, or some people say it's a dog and a wolf, howling up at the moon. We've got a pathway, which you can just see running out from right at the front of the card all the way through between the pillars and off into the future. Things moving from your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind, or your inner self, and showing you a pathway of how to manifest those things and move them through into your conscious waking life. This card is often about dreams. If you see the moon card coming up, I often will say to somebody, are you having very vivid dreams? Are you a vivid dreamer? Pay attention to your dreams and pay attention to what's happening, what's coming out of your subconscious mind right now, because it's very important. Because this is a card that really talks about that kind of dream state and that inner state. We can see here is kind of lobster that's in the water. I mean, these waters are right at the front. This is that deep emotion, that sort of deep river, the underground river within us, where everything sort of ferments and everything is born, everything is created from that deep place within, that deep place inside. And this sort of lobster is coming up out of the waters and onto the path, onto being in the past. It's kind of like this idea of creation from deep inside, our kind of inner self coming out, our inner purpose coming out. There's kind of an aspect of slight kind of craziness around that. So the moon, la luna, lunatic, lunacy, craziness. And when you see this card, people can go through that sort of craziness that we feel often during a full moon. I think personally that the full moon is an amplifier that amplifies whatever state of mind you're in and whatever kind of position you're in within yourself will be amplified during a full moon. That's why they say there's far more kind of crimes, etc., committed during a full moon, because it's this amplifier of what's happening. And so when I see this card, I often kind of think of somebody who's really going deep within themselves, perhaps even withdrawing a bit too much. If this card is very prominent and it's surrounded by cards that are similar that augment this card, it can indicate somebody's going too far within. They're becoming very introspective, too introspective. You've got to strike a balance. You must sort of look inside in your life. It's very important to kind of look at who you are and to really figure out what your purpose is in this life. But at the same time, you can't spend all of your time focused inwards. So there can be a tendency about this card that suggests that somebody's spending too much time focusing inwards. And when that happens, it can be an indication that somebody perhaps is undergoing a depression or anxiety, or some kind of like sort of deeper psychological issues or pains, or going over things and over things. And when I think of no use howling at the moon, there is a point where it is not constructive anymore just to focus in on things that make you feel depressed, or in on things that are going on inside you that don't feel positive, because if you just focus in on that, you'll never come out of that situation. So there can be that feeling around this card. I think it's a card of intense reflection. You've got the moon looking down and the dogs like kind of howling up. Again, like the full moon can make animals go a little crazy, so you see this card and there's, you know, probably quite a lot happening around, and I'd say most of it's happening within the person. You know, it's going on. Somebody's got a lot of thoughts in their head. They're going through a lot of emotions. Maybe they're doing a lot of kind of shadow work, and they're really kind of internal right now. And out of that, as long as people use it constructively, you can move out of this kind of internal state with the moon card, and you can be the lobster that's coming right out of that deep part of yourself, that part of yourself that is the most primal self, the part of yourself that doesn't understand language, the part of yourself that is just substance, that's really unconscious. And I think that is a part of the self that the tarot really helps you tap into. That's why the tarot is full of imagery, because imagery and what we can see and colours speak to that deep part of ourself that doesn't know language, that isn't left brain, that doesn't follow patterns of logic. So it's really bringing that inner self out and forwards, and following the path, coming out of the sort of the depths of within yourself and out into the conscious mind. It's a very complicated card, very complex, sort of subtle meanings. It's a really interesting card. I'm going to apologise, this video is probably going to be quite long because I have got 4 cards to cover. I've just noticed I'm nearly 8 minutes already, but the next 1 or 2 are fairly quick. So the sun. After the moon comes the sun, after the night comes the day, and this card is hands down the sunny side of life. When you have this card come up in a reading, I don't think there's any kind of possible negative connotations with this card. I mean, it is just the sunny side of life. The sun is shining on you. You look at this card, and this card just brings this feeling of immense joy, of happiness, of everything going right, and this kind of sort of freedom, this feeling of being free and being happy and really finding joy. I think often when I see this card in a reading, I'm looking at somebody who's actually discovering their joy, who's discovering their passion, who's discovering their inner child. We're looking here at this brilliant, beautiful sun, and the sunflowers here in the background, and sort of this child with a feather, like a feather in your cap. You know, if you're wearing a feather in your cap, you're really proud, you're really excited, something really great is going on in your life. And this kind of child is just naked and free. And I often think about this card as being something that talks about having that joy and finding your inner child. You know, this card can be saying to somebody, and remember the things that made you excited when you were a child. What did you love to do? Did you love to paint pictures? Did you love to go for walks? Did you love to play with your animals? Did you love to read? Did you love to make things? Did you love to take things apart and find out how things work? What was the things that made you feel this joy, this happiness, this freedom when you were a child? And why not go and start looking at those again and bringing some of that energy back into your life? You know, indulge your inner child, and remember that we're all parents, whether or not we have children of our own. We are all our own parents. We are our own children, and so we have a responsibility to look after our kind of inner child and the child within us, and let that shine, and just let yourself feel free and feel happy. You know, do something silly, do something that just makes you giggle, that makes you laugh, and don't be self-conscious about it. There's no element in this card of feeling self-conscious, and there's no element of shame, and there's no element of any of those sort of things that we attach often as adults to things, you know, oh, I can't do this, I shouldn't do that, or that's silly, or that's childish or immature, or people might judge me for it. You know, if I lie down and roll down this hill in the leaves, or people can look at me and think I'm kind of crazy. And you know, it's letting go of that, just letting go of other people's ideas of judgment, and really feeling free and feeling like that, feeling like this, a child on a sunny day at the beginning of the summer holidays. You've got the whole summer stretching ahead of you, and it's just about games and joy. It's a really exciting, lovely card. Our third card today is Judgment. Now, Judgment, oh, let's stick it up there. Judgment is the second card in the deck that's presided over by an angel. We saw an angel, which I think was representing Raphael in the Lovers, and here we have an angel that represents Gabriel. This represents the angel Gabriel on kind of the judgment day in Christian mythology, kind of blowing the trumpet to wake the dead for the final judgment. And that idea can make this seem a little bit of a scary card, but it's not really about actually being judged as such. The judgment card is often about a wake-up call. So you might see this card come up in any position, past, present, future, in the spread, and refer to a bit of a wake-up call that someone's had, or is having, or is going to have. It can be like a wake-up call in a way that's kind of a bit of a shock for them, or it could be like an epiphany, kind of one of those moments when you suddenly, everything becomes clear. And there's that real kind of element of waking up happening with this card, you know, wake up. We've got all the figures here kind of rising up out of coffins. They're all kind of grey figures, and they're children, they're men, they're women. I mean, it's all of us, you know. We all have these times in our lives when we kind of need a wake-up call, or we have an epiphany, or there's a real feeling about this, literally, of rising up, of awakening. So if somebody has been going through a difficult or stressful period in their life, if they've been feeling depressed or low or stuck or any of these kind of emotions, and this card comes along, this is telling you that this person is gonna be waking up. They're gonna get out of this. It's time to move on. It's time to move up. We're everyone at the moment, with it being kind of near the end of 2012, is talking about the 2012 shift, the shift in consciousness. It's kind of awakening that's going on in so many people who want to kind of be more spiritual, or connect with others, and kind of find their inner joy, and this sort of raising of vibration, and this real kind of awakening energy. And that is the kind of energy that comes around this card, is this wake up, kind of like wake up to yourself. So you can often see this card in the spread, and it's going to tell you that somebody is close to discovering their purpose, why they're really here, what motivates them, what the purpose of their life really is. You know, you're going to wake up to that. It's almost like you can see this idea of the fog clearing. For me, in this card, you know, the angel here is kind of in a kind of a fog or a cloud, and he's like just pushing through it. It's like the grey is lifting, and these people are still greyed out, but they're lifting up. So kind of like the grey veils over life, or the things that kind of I don't know, anaesthetize us to life, television and consumerism and debt, and all the things that kind of make us focus on this kind of very shallow sort of aspect of life, things that might make us feel depressed or not good enough, or hopeless, or stuck, or just that keep us in this like anaesthetized state. These things are lifting when you see this card. You know, people are going to get a fresh perspective. They're going to really connect with who they are. They're going to wake up, and the relief when that happens, you know, when you've been through a period of time, for whatever reason, where you felt like you're not awake, where you felt stuck or unhappy. I mean, even a period of a few weeks, period of 10, 15 years can go by. When those clouds start to part, and you feel like that little inner bell ringing, that calling, and suddenly everything comes back into colour, and it's an amazing feeling. And I think that that's what this card is all about. Now, final card in the Major Arcana in the tarot deck in this series is the World. So the World is the final card in the Major Arcana in the tarot deck. It's kind of like the crowning card. And after the World, you go right back to the Fool, and you start the journey again. And you can see the circular symbol that we saw in the Fool being 0 in the deck, is here with this kind of circular wreath around it. So this card, very much for me, is like kind of coming to the end of journeys, the end of cycles, the end of things, having learnt so much or gone through whatever process that the cards in the deck have been talking about, gone through that process, and you come out on the other side, and now it's like the world is your oyster. And that's what this card makes me think of. The world is your oyster. You can do anything, you can achieve anything. You know, you've done your work, you've done the things that you needed to do in that particular cycle, and it's time for the next cycle, and you can just set out and do that and be excited to do it. You can see the world here is represented by this woman again. She's naked because she's free. She's who she is. This is a person, and this is a card that tells you that so many exciting things are possible and so many exciting things are happening. There's such victory and success about this card that you can really feel free. You can kind of take down your masks, and you're really stepping into your own life, and you're really being the person that you really are on the inside, and it feels amazing. She's holding these kind of two batons, these two wands, almost like she's twirling them. If you remember, the magician was holding one right up in the beginning, because the magician card was telling us you have all the tools you need, you have everything at your disposal to do what you need to do. You just have to use the tools that you have to succeed. The world is kind of, she's twirling the magic wands, the batons. She's done that, or he's done that, and this is a very successful card. I mean, this wreath here, it represents victory. It's the victory wreath. You see this card cropping up in a spread, and it talks about huge success, real victory, really positive endings to cycles and beginning of new cycles. This is a gate card. It's a gate card that's leading you through a gateway to another challenge, and another kind of adventure is waiting on the other side. And there's such freedom and joy about this card, and possibility. It's saying there are endless possibilities. If you remember when we looked at the Wheel of Fortune, the Wheel of Fortune was telling us, spin the wheel. You know, we don't know what's going to happen yet. Nothing is quite resolved, but take the gamble, take that chance, spin the wheel, because it's just maybe you're going to hit the jackpot. And when you see the world cards, you can see how very similar these are. They've even got the same imagery. They've got kind of like the woman up here is kind of representing water in Aquarius, and they've got kind of the griffin and the eagle up here with representing air, and there's the two kind of bulls representing earth, and the lions here representing fire. So in the Wheel of Fortune, the wheel was still in spin, the wheel was still in motion. You didn't know where you were going to end up, but you took the chance anyway, and the world comes out to say success, victory. You know, you ended up right at the top of the wheel. Amazing. And so if you might often actually find these two cards in a spread together. They do crop up together, because this is the solidification of these ideas in the best possible sense. So if you see these together, you know that somebody is sure to succeed. They're sure to succeed in whatever's going on. So the world is an amazing card to finish the series with, and to finish the tarot deck. And I would like to remind all of you that the world is your oyster. So go out and make your life exactly what you want it to be. And I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I will see you back on my channel with some December vlogs really soon. So have a wonderful day, lovely Saturday, lovely weekend, and thank you all so much for joining me for this little tarot journey. Mwah. Bye bye.